So welcome, everybody. I'm Nancy Mandel, chairperson of the NCAC Bylaws Subcommittee, and call the meeting to order at 9:03. But I have no conflicts. Would all of you please introduce yourselves and state your conflicts, if any?
Wyatt Angelo, no conflicts.
Susan Schomburg, no conflicts.
Tom Seib, no conflicts.
Great. And I expect Michael to join us here shortly. So we have, let me just go to the agenda. So we have a pretty, hopefully simple one today. Going into approval of the minutes from from the May 16th meeting and our last meeting on June 6th. Did you guys have a chance to read those?
Good.
Yep,
Yep.
they're fine. Good.
Okay, well, and then I have a short report. Mark is not going to be able to join us today. He let me know. And then some planning for next year and some planning for the executive board meeting on June 14th and action items. And that's it. So our calendar is short. We have executive board meetings on June 25th and July 23rd. I assume and also on August 27th, and then a regular membership meeting on August 9th. And then we will talk about when our first bylaws subcommittee of the year will be. So I'm going to stop sharing. And any comments on either sets of minutes?
No comment.
I don't have any. No comment.
Okay, so hearing none of the minutes of May 16th and June 6th are approved as presented. Okay, my report. The bylaws have been posted on the website under the references section. Gary and I have been talking, and he wants to set up a actual bylaws tab on the main web page for the NCAC that could include both the PP&R and the bylaws and anything else we want to include in there. But he hasn't had time to do that yet, and he's planning to work on that as things are calming down on other meetings. So hopefully we can do that. At this point, the PP&R are not. He couldn't put them in the reference section. There wasn't a spot for them, so they're sitting in a folder. I think it's mainly our meeting folder, but there's no direct links. So I'll be working with him in the next week or so to see what we can do to get those actually up for people. I did do a document that has the bylaws and the PP&R as one PDF and asked him if he could stick that under the bylaws tab, but he hasn't. I think he'd like to keep them separate. So that's an action item. So I'll follow up with him on that. So as you know, well, let me stay back with the bylaws. The letter with approved and amended, the approved bylaws, amended bylaws, and the PP&R have been sent to Sarah, and I put the letter in the meeting packet folder. So I'm not going to show that here, but you can look at it at your leisure. And then, as you know, we're still searching for a secretary. So the person I had been talking to decided not to do that.
Bummer.
So, and yeah, and I think it's going to be a much easier year going forward, at least once the community plan is done. And I've offered to help do some of the, just the, technical stuff of loading things. Candace has agreed to stay on in the position she's been doing on the communications task force, so that's helpful. But please, Susan particularly as our outreach chair, please try to find somebody, somebody who's good, preferably. If there's anybody, I know Wyatt and Tom, both of your wives would be terrific, but I know they're also otherwise engaged, but hopefully we can find somebody soon. But we do have something now because of the new bylaws. We do have a way to keep Barry in Gary in the office until at least the July board meeting. And in which case, I think at that point, we would have to, if we can't appoint somebody to do it, at least temporarily till the August membership meeting, we would have to divide up the duties among the board members. I'd really like to not do. So that's kind of my report. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to talk about just in general before we get into planning for next year? Okay. So subcommittee positions at the according to the PPNR, our parliamentarian should be
I
leading
nominate
us
you for
through.
chair.
Second.
Well done, Tom. Could you hear the freight train?
Welcome, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning. What are you all laughing at?
I was bringing up our topic on the agenda for subcommittee positions for next year, and I was saying that according to the new PPNR, it's up to the NCAC parliamentarian to take us through positions for next year. And Tom immediately nominated me as chair, and the others chimed in, and
And then you
Done deal.
appeared.
and then you appeared. So
and then I appeared. Now that's holy crap.
And you were
that's
going to
pretty-
be next to be nominated for parliamentarian. So,
well, that's between him and Mark but so far he is still until the end of the year parliamentarian, and I assume Mark will appoint you again for that position, Michael. But we did approve the May 16th and June 6th minutes, so thank you.
Mhm.
So I have been nominated for chair, but Michael, I'm going to turn this over to you because that is your role as parliamentarian in our new policies and procedures, is to take us through the
Yeah,
positions
well,
for
you
the
know,
coming
I'll
year.
be glad to do that. But my vision actually in creating that policy was in the event that people had never really done that before.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and this
well,
was
we
at
can
least-
pretend we've never done it.
Oh, I can pretend.
What's an election?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and-
realize it's a little different with the same.
Yeah, it
four of
is.
us.
Yeah, because you all have far more experience in doing this than I do. But at the faculty senate meeting once a year, I meet with new senators, and they're not used to this kind of thing. They're academicians. They're into developing lectures and meeting students and so on. And here we are talking about organization and procedures and so on. And for one of the few times in their professional life, they're absolutely silent. And they're listening to whatever it is I have to say, and I never get into that pedantic crap about Robert's rules. I just don't do that, and they thank me for it. By the way, they're pleased, but at least to get the justification of why we're here, to get the job done, and to do it in an equitable and reasonable and respectful manner, and to listen to each other, and all of that sort of thing, and they understand it, and they do it quite well. I was sharing with Nancy last week, and Wyatt, you'd be interested in this, that we had a special meeting at the Faculty Senate a couple of weeks ago. And that special meeting had to do with, I don't want to bore you with it, but it had to do with basic requirements for the baccalaureate degree that were being expanded. And when you expand it from within this limit of 180 credit hours, you've got to take those credit hours from somewhere else, because it balances out. And it takes away from major courses, and so they're pissed. And this happened from the university administration, and everyone knows or should know that the coursework, the materials, all of that business belongs to the faculty, not to administration. And so this was being seen as, the camel's nose under the tent. And they were really pissed. And they wanted to vote on censure against the administration. And so, you know what, I was a little anxious about this one. And this comes in at the same time that that Donald Trump's business is coming in on universities as well. And so I had some things to say, and just to kind of cool things down and make sure that and it happened, and it was fine, and you know, and it worked out okay. But it was kind of edgy. It was a little bit edgy. So, you know, it was about that time that I thought, you know, maybe somebody better be designated in our policies to do initial meetings with people who are coming aboard and help them to understand what this is about and what we are required to do, and the guide rails inside of which we need to operate so that people can get things done. And so I don't need to do that with you people, because you know, this is a really fine working group. I mean, this group is special in my perspective, you know, and I've taught small group problem solving and communication for 40 years, and this is ideal. This is really a well working group. We listen to each other, we work well together, we come up with ideas, we don't necessarily agree, and all of that stuff is really nice. And I love seeing Susan smile, you know.
Especially 2 in the morning in Sydney.
I know it. Where are you? You're in Sydney?
Sydney.
Oh my God, jeez. Okay.
So she
all right.
woke up for the meeting and she's going to go to sleep after the meeting. So I'm going to move us along.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So I have been nominated to continue as chairperson. Would anyone like to compete?
No,
No.
All right. Hearing that, I will continue.
Yeah.
We have the position of editor. Tom, I assume you'll be able to continue as our editor, because I can't imagine anybody else doing it. So
If you
Oh,
insist.
Tom, you do a great job. You really,
Yeah,
really do.
yeah.
And we do appreciate a great deal the time and
do.
effort and skill that you put into it. It's worthy. Thank you.
Well,
Absolutely.
then let me say,
Right.
I appreciate you guys. And I won't go into details.
Okay. At least not in this forum.
that's a little
I-
emotional for an engineer, isn't it?
Yeah, that was heavy emotion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, Tom. So
I'm
Michael,
moving-
I do want to bring up secretary or scribe rather, and just ask you, you've been doing this for 2 years, and I know it's a lot of work. You have to listen to the videos and write everything, and I'm not particularly helpful. So would you be interested in turning that over to Susan or Wyatt if they were interested, or do you want to go
If
ahead and
they're into
continue
this,
on?
by all means, they are willing. But I'm also willing to continue to do it. That's not a problem. But if they want to do it, absolutely. I mean, this is not a personal thing at all. It's just a task to be done.
I don't think that I could come up with a definition for MSPU to put in minutes. So I would defer to somebody else.
You
I
know,
also defer.
I'm kind of used to doing that, and it didn't occur to me until later that I may be assuming too much. Did MSP pop out as meaningful?
It did to me, and I have to say that I think we're going to have to rewrite some definitions for MSPU and also for drafty draft into the bylaws.
Yeah, I got kind of
Tom, if you'd
technical.
make that note,
Yeah.
we'll include in the definitions.
I think so. I think so. So the U I added because, you know, I had to look up MSP, Michael, the first time you started using it. And when I looked it up, I found, oh, there's an MSPU. So I added it to the last minutes because the U is for unanimous. And
Oh, yeah. That I did
so I
not
added
know.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I had fun with it, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. And drafty draft is quite the technical term, I know, for our upcoming discussion. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you read the document. Since
I
it
actually
just went
raised
up.
that just so you know that I actually read it.
Okay, thank you.
At least the head note.
Well, Michael, if you're willing to continue, and it sounds like nobody else wants to take on the role, we'll leave you as scribe. And you were starting to make a motion, I think.
Yeah, well, my motion was to affirm Tom as editor. But this is all, this is fine. I'll be glad to do that again, and it's no problem. And actually, it's probably good for me to do it. At my age, I need to review almost everything from time to time, just to make sure that I remember correctly. So I do watch the videos a little bit faster than we actually do it. But yeah, I'll be glad to continue that.
Okay, so I will ask if we could please get the minutes out within a week of the meeting. Would that
Okay.
be so that, because there may be action items for people to use and that kind of thing.
Okay,
Does
okay.
that sound
Okay.
like something that would be okay? Or
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, and then I will promise to review within 2 days. I know you've had to wait on me for some of that, but that way people can look ahead of time. But it's a big job, I know, because you have to there is a lot. Well, hopefully we won't have as much to do next year. The minutes hopefully won't be
No.
as intricate, but thank you very much. So I'm just gonna hearing consensus that we're remaining in our same positions as last year. And thank you. I want to second what Michael said. I think this is an incredible committee, a subcommittee, and each member brings so much to the table. So thank you very much. And Michael, thank you for all the work you've done on the minutes, and Tom on the editing.
Yeah.
It's been terrific.
Mhm.
So moving on to meeting schedule for next year. We've been meeting Friday mornings, first and third Friday morning of the month the last couple of years, and we just moved from 9:30 to 9 this past year because we knew we were going to have long meetings. Does anybody have, and Michael, I know you have your piano meetings once a month, but they seem to, would the second and fourth Friday work better, or should we go to a different morning? I don't know if anyone wants to meet in the evenings, but I'll just throw it open for the other question is how often do we meet? So I'm seeing a couple of things. When we look at the list of things for next year, it's actually relatively short. So we could meet like twice a month until we get our work done. And then we maybe touch base every 3 months after that, if there's anything, or we could meet once a month until we get our work done and then see where we are. So I think I'm kind of thinking twice a month, get the work done and then take a break.
Mhm.
And maybe at the at the December membership meeting, we get an updated TP&R approval. And if we have any bylaws amendments, we do it at the December meeting. We wouldn't need to have a special meeting. And
What are you anticipating to be the work to be done that would require twice a month meeting?
well, that's our next thing. I can just go to that now and we can bring up the list. This is the drafty draft
Mhm.
that Michael is referring to, or I mean, Wyatt was referring to. So not that much. That I know there are more things. What I did was Tom sent me some ideas, and then I had some, and then I went through the presentation from one of the more recent presentations, showing where we had gaps and
Mhm.
added those in. But it's not a thorough analysis. There may be some other things, but basically, we'll just go through this now and then go back to the meeting schedule. So I've had on my list to write the voting procedure. And the NCAC archives, I believe, was for Wyatt and Gary and me to write. And Gary, with his expertise in that area, we wanted to take a little more time fleshing out some of the job descriptions, and then recommended qualifications for subcommittee and task force members. So this is something Tom suggested, to actually have something on the basis of, how are people selected. One example on this, and he actually wrote more. I'm just putting the topics in here, but he
Mhm.
actually wrote a draft of this that looks good. But this year, I think because it was just the five of us again, nobody sent out the blurbs we sent in about are, reapplying for the job, like we had done in the past. But I think we probably actually need to say in this section that the application will be distributed prior to the voting meeting. And of course, for task force members, it would be for the executive board. But that we actually list what people should have. And Tom, do you want to go through your list of what you had in there?
Well, I think the most gentle way to put it is that when a subcommittee convenes, because I don't think we can do any pre-qualifications, but we should at least say going in, you should have some computer skills. You should, if this is a writing task, you should have some writing skills, and the time to devote to studying texts. I think, as an example, in the community plan, nobody else has computer skills. And it makes it more difficult. And I think that knowing that up front, you can perhaps parcel things out differently. After about a year of it, I'm going to have to change my role, I think, in the committee. I've been very trying to let them drive it. I'm probably not going to be able to do that going forward. So what I wrote, Nancy, was in frustration. So perhaps not everything in that list should be in the final. But I have been frustrated with that. But we need to make sure that people have the skills necessary and the background necessary to do whatever committee or task they're meant to do. So.
I think a side thing on that too, Tom, is I think we should probably, in fact, I'm updating. I should just stop share on this one and update the actual document. I have here. Is that we probably need to have something. I think it's worked really, really well for us to have 2-person teams to write different things, because
Absolutely.
even if one person writes it, getting together with the second person really helps flesh it out. And by the time we bring it to the full subcommittee, then it's a little better done, right? It's something a little more drafted, and then the subcommittee helps flesh it out further. And it seems to work really well. But not everybody does it that way. And so I think if we actually have something in the procedures on how do you come up with something like this, this process, that might be helpful. It would have to probably be a suggestion, but
it would be a small group problem solving.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, because if you haven't been exposed to it, I mean, the wheels just spin, and then eventually one comes off the bus.
And it also kind of gets into the OPML procedures down here. This next item is fleshing out, what do we mean by OPML a little bit. Right now we say we follow it, but this is another suggestion from Tom, was what are some of the things that might be helpful for people to understand?
Yeah, we don't have any place that says you're not meant to meet 3 people offline. That's the OPML says that, but we don't say it anywhere in our documents. So we're depending on people. We're depending on people to have read all of that documentation. We're lucky if they read this.
Right. Well, right. And
so we have to
I
be
know
explicit about it.
And at the beginning, when we first met 2 years ago, we weren't sure if we could email one another about meetings and that kind of thing. Just setting up meeting dates, et cetera. And there's still some disagreement on that. So that would be helpful to get clarification also from the county.
If I could do a little devil's advocacy regarding the business about skills needed for small groups and for task force members. This is a community of a broad variety of people, and I don't know that we can expect that they have those kinds of skills, particularly since Nescoin is, well, for want of a better word, a recreational area, you know, a beach community, et cetera, et cetera. What justification is there to require that they have those skills? Or better said, I think, is what can we advise to help people who don't have those skills still participate in the decision making and the process that's necessary for these task forces?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
good point, Michael.
first of all, it shouldn't be a shall. It should be a should.
Yeah.
Yeah. good
We
point,
can't require things, but I think
Hmm.
by saying at least some committee members should have this skill, and if the executive committee or notes that there's a skill area, then they can perhaps go to outreach and find somebody else to
Yeah,
add.
and I think that's a good point, Tom, right there. That maybe we can add that line as an addendum to the policy, that to encourage the EC or the E-board to assure that that those skills are there on that group in one form or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that might fit. I don't know, this maybe not. I kind of go back and forth on how that relates to the outreach task force, because they're not supposed to vet. So it probably needs to be a separate policy or separate
Yeah,
procedures.
good point.
So it will be a lively discussion when we actually tackle this next year, but these are possible topics.
It's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is. I mean, I'm almost thinking of putting in the reference section places, if you don't have the skills, possible places where you could get them. If Tillamook
Yeah,
East County Public Library, for instance, has tech classes or, you know, something where they can gain it, it's hard on the coast to
Well,
think about this.
You know, the thing is that we haven't mentioned it, but we're touching on an issue that is rife in this culture right now, and that is the distance in skills and understandings between the various ages of our communities. Those of us with gray hair often have to go to our grandchildren in order to understand how the hell to turn the channel on the damn TV. I mean, and I'm not kidding, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
with all of the accoutrements that go along with the TV, all of the DVRs and you know, everything else, my grandson just whips right through it, and we stand there feeling like a bunch of goofs.
Mhm. Yeah, good point. I still remember when my son was I think he was in 7th grade, and my uncle, who is an electrical engineer, retired and older, but was having a problem with butt dialing with his phone, and he could not figure out how to stop it. He decided it was impossible. It was just a bad phone. And I said, well, maybe Perry could look at it. And he, oh, there's nothing. No. He said, but you can try. And Perry goes, blink, 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 blink. Hands it
Well,
back. He said, it's fixed.
but the reverse is true as well. You know, we can't forget the fact that gray hair also has experience
It does.
and
It does.
broad understandings that take years to grasp. And I've seen those videos, and they have been demonstrated to be real, honest videos where a couple of 16-year-old kids didn't know how to use a rotary phone.
Right. I've seen those too. Anyway, but you're right. And so these are some good initial thoughts
Yeah,
here
okay.
about this area. OPML. This is obviously Tom's, but it was going to be on my list too. Procedures 14 and 15, or actually it's 15 and 16, isn't it, Tom?
I don't remember. Yeah.
15 and 16, the surveys and straw polls that have our bullets, he's going to edit. Expansion of quorum. This is another suggestion from Tom of what to do if the quorum is not met in a meeting. So I think we have quorum in the bylaws. We have something about information only meetings, but really it's fair to say and give a process that if we don't reach quorum, you can go ahead and try to call, and before you start the meeting, get people in and do what you can to reach that quorum number.
Yeah.
And until then it's information only.
Yeah, information only. And that, and I think we can posit that maybe we can set set agendas and time for next meeting. Otherwise, you're in a no-win situation. You're in a
Yeah.
dead end. So
Right.
we've got to have some limited ability to recover, and we don't have that.
Right.
Mhm.
You can at least set the next meeting date and that kind of thing. Yeah, like a special meeting. Right. So anyway, that's a good idea. And then revisiting decisions. This was something that came from Sarah that we talked about a couple of meetings ago about a process if we want to revisit a decision. And I actually found later in Robert's rules that there's something I guess I hadn't even been aware of, and it's not a motion to reconsider, but you can actually years later go back. And there's no time limit on it. And let me see if I can find it. Anyway, there's another motion you can do. I won't go through it now because I should have been more prepared, but we should, Sarah would like us to write something like this because of what happened in Oceanside. And it sounds like a good idea. So at that point,
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
okay, well, I will find it.
To the situation where somebody wants to reconsider a vote that happened 2 years ago?
It was
Something
like
that.
yeah, it was like 4 years
That's
ago.
I generally would call that out of order. That if you really want to do something like that, the appropriate way to do it is to introduce a new motion.
Right, but there is something in Robert's rules that I was really surprised
Actually,
at.
I remember that now that you mention it. It was in some of the nightmare scenarios in the Wi-Fi organization.
Oh,
We we had made a decision, and for some reason it was important to unmake that decision as opposed to doing a new decision.
Well, repeal is the appropriate.
Is it?
Yeah, rather than reconsider. Reconsider is usually something to occur within a session, and usually a session is like a year. The year in which the body sits. Then reconsider is a possibility, but after that, it's review or new motion or repeal or something of that sort.
I remember sitting for hours listening to Robert's rules being explained.
Is that all? Just hours?
Well, it didn't seem like it meant. At any rate, yes. So we went through that process.
here it is. It's a motion to rescind.
Oh,
or
yeah.
to amend.
That's it. Rescind.
Or to amend something previously adopted.
Yes, right. Yeah, you can rescind.
And so I don't know. I hope we don't ever have to be in that situation, but it's a topic for next year, so we don't need to get into it today.
So go ahead and put down rescind because I won't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
repeal,
amend something previously adopted.
Or repeal.
No, it's not in there in Robert's rules. It's either of those.
It is rescind. Yeah, I remember that now.
Get a new definition then.
Right. So I have it excerpted. I sent it to Sarah. But she suggested we have it on our.
Okay, that's good.
If she wants it, she can have it.
Right. So anyway, hopefully we would never need it, but it's something we can. So these are things to work on, and there will probably be more. I'm sure we didn't capture them all, but thank you, Tom, for your input on all that. And then, so I'm thinking we could probably knock these out in the first couple of months, and have it, have maybe one feedback session or at most two sometime in November and have them presented at the December meeting. That might be a little overly optimistic, and then if something comes up later in the year, yay, but otherwise we don't worry about it. So does anyone have anything to add to the drafty draft? Okay, So back to the calendar for next year. What do y'all think? I'm open to whatever, however we want to do this. And Michael, on your piano thing, because I hate to have you miss meetings if we don't have to. Is there it seems like they float during a month, right?
Yeah, generally it's the third Friday. They're always on a Friday.
So we could go to second and fourth.
We can try second and fourth. And the worst case scenario is one would pop up there and I can hang with, the first 45 minutes.
Right.
Because these things don't begin until 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're, Corvallis is small enough, I can zip across town to somebody's home, or maybe it might even be my own home. So that, close to 10 anyway. And that's a long time. I mean, that 45 minutes, I can do stuff.
Okay. Or do we want to do, I know last time people had issues with Tuesdays and Thursdays, but what about Mondays or Wednesdays? Because Mondays could be holidays.
Yeah, Mondays could be holidays, and the community plan likes to meet on Mondays.
Yeah. So what about
Wednesdays for me are fine. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I work out, and at my age, I can't afford not to.
Fridays are fine to me. That's kind of the ideal for me.
Okay. How about Tuesdays and the second and fourth instead of the first and third?
That sounds good.
Don't care.
That okay with you, Susan?
Yeah, it is. I just, as long as I know ahead of time, I can, maneuver or attempt to maneuver my schedule. Yeah.
Okay. So, so we've agreed on the second and fourth Fridays, of the month. Do you want to stay at 9 o'clock or go back to 9:30?
9 o'clock's fine with me.
9 o'clock's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9 o'clock, second and fourth Friday of the month. Twice a month to begin with, and try to get everything done by the December meeting, or once a month and we stretch it out during the year?
I think twice a month is good because I have this feeling things are going to crop up.
Yeah.
You could be right. We can always cancel a meeting if we want to too.
Yeah.
I think I'll lose focus if I have to go a month between meetings.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
so twice a month, second and fourth Friday of the month. And so our first meeting for the next year, I'm suggesting then the fourth Friday of September.
So the 26th?
Right, which is kind of a late start, but I'll be getting back from a trip on the 11th, so it would be a lot to suddenly to plan for the 13th. The 20th would have been doable, but the 27th gives us another week. So does that sound okay? We start on the 27th?
Yeah, and looking ahead, I would suggest that we not meet on the fourth Friday of November because it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Right. And we wouldn't have met if it had been the third Friday either, probably. Well, no, maybe I guess we have in the past.
And Christmas weekend also in December. The 4th is just Christmas weekend.
So we may end up going to, that is true. The first and third avoids those weeks. And if we're going to try to get stuff done by December, that might be.
Just looking at my calendar here.
Thank you, Susan. I think you're right. Yeah.
Well, Thanksgiving's the 27th.
Right, but people aren't going to want to meet on the Friday.
The day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's at a bylaws meeting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Looks like first and third is kind
of working out better. I guess there's a reason we picked these dates. So, Michael, do you think you guys could change your piano?
To
the second or fourth, or the second or fourth?
What actually happens is that we do a quick review of times and what's good for others and so on. So really take your best shot. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And again, the worst case scenario is I can be there for the first 45 minutes, and if there's
Mhm.
Okay.
anything, and that's fine, because
All right.
that may push you guys to finish it up.
Okay. All right. So, okay, we're back to first and third,
Okay.
starting on the 20th,
19th.
19th. No, wait a minute. 19th. Yes. Thank you. Starting on the 19th, which is actually on the agenda as a possibility. Okay. All right. So am I hearing consensus that we will go to the
Mhm.
continue on the first and third Fridays of the month at 9 a.m. And why don't we start by going to 11 if needed, and then we and we start on September 19th.
That looks good.
All right. Decided by consensus.
Good.
All right, thank you. So on to the June 14th Executive Board meeting. I think probably one of our topics is going to be how we get a secretary. I haven't seen the agenda, but I'll have a bylaws report, let them know what our schedule is for the year and some of our topics coming up. But that's going to be a biggie, is trying to figure out where to go forward. And Susan, you're on the executive board as the chair.
I will be able to dial in.
Okay, great.
And it's at what time? I forget.
3:30.
Oh,
3:30 on
3:30. Okay. I need to text that to myself. 3:30.
yeah,
Okay.
on the third Wednesdays of the month, or
Okay.
whatever. The dates are on the agenda. June 25th
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
And Wyatt actually had a great idea for a presentation, or actually sent something out to all of us about the fire station
Yeah, I
program.
saw that. That's awesome. People will be around, and I think it's great, the open house concept. I like that.
So I don't know if you saw my note back, Wyatt, but I suggest you bring that up to Mark to have it as a email out from the NCAC, and the executive board can discuss it at the meeting.
Great, thanks, Nancy.
Yeah,
And then-
there's a non-zero chance of having a cert table there that I'll be at.
Oh, you will be at it, according to what I heard, Tom. You're already scheduled.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, it sounds like a great thing. So anyway, it'd be nice to test that procedure that we wrote on how to go through that. So and then of course there's the NCAC, or not NCAC, there's a Nesquin Facebook page that this could go on to. So any other topics you'd like me to bring up at the board meeting next week? Okay, so action item summary. I will update the list, the drafty draft, which is still pretty drafty. I might change the title for us to start out with next year. And Tom, if you want to start I guess it'll be how we want to date it or
okay,
whatever, but a Rev 1 or a Rev 0.
It's V2R0.
All right. Okay. All right. And I guess
so
bylaws could be V3 or 0 if we have anything that affects the bylaws.
yeah. Okay, so I will take custody of the text then, and you will.
Okay.
Okay. So we're doing an official
I'll-
handoff here.
I will send you the one that's saved, and you can edit freely.
Okay.
It is
As
yours.
I always do.
Yes, it is
Well,
yours.
it's important. It is important to know who owns it.
Right. I get that. And you I'm also handing off the TPNR and the bylaws to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the official versions are in the Google Drive, so you guys can look at that. But yeah, you will have the official. Hands off the Word versions. Yeah, I'm learning something from Tom about all this. We've been handing back and forth here as things got really hairy for Tom with doing multiple things. So he actually granted me custody at the end here. So probably reluctantly.
Supervised custody.
Yes, yes, yes.
Visitation rights.
Yes, yeah.
So, all right. So otherwise, so the action items is hands back to Tom, our editor, and we'll publish the schedule. I'll report on that, and I think that's it. We don't have any public. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to? Oh, well, I do want to just say thank you all. It's been quite a year, quite a 2 years. I'm so thrilled that all of you are joining us, that we are all together again next year. It is just an incredible group. I'm coming out in October, and I'd
Oh,
love to get
yay.
together with everybody. And so I'll send you dates and that kind of thing where we can not meet as a subcommittee, but just for fun. So
Excellent.
yeah, I think that'll be really fun. So,
Awesome.
but I hope everybody has a really terrific summer. We have earned it, and stay healthy. And Susan, stay healthy in the air. Hopefully you
Thank
don't have
you.
to do any of these evacuations.
Oh, no. Please, no.
Okay, anyone else like to say anything to bring up for next year?
Oh, pray for world peace.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, look,
True.
I'm concerned. I'll tell you that. This is a crazy world that we live in, and I'm trying to put it all together, and it's just not easy. It is not easy.
When you do, let us know, would you?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 9:49
On that
a.m.
happy note.
On that happy note, stay safe, everybody. And I'm going to
Safe
stop
flight,
recording.
Susan.
Thank you.